Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast with your hosts Bill Algie, Dennis Talbot, and Alan Tate. We are three guys who have one thing in common, a love of rock and roll. Our goal is to talk about all things rock. We hope you find this show intriguing, funny, and occasionally highly opinionated. Enjoy!
Welcome to the Ages of Rock podcast. This is episode number 148, and today on our show we're going to have Todd Kerns. We are running the gamut of everybody that's played with KISS, I think, or a member of KISS, or a former member of KISS, or something like that. So, we're at it. We've been trying to get Todd on for quite a while, actually, since the Indie Expo. We've been working on that, but hadn't worked out.
He was there at the Indie Expo.
He was, yeah. I talked to him for a little bit, and
my extent of talking to him at Indy was yelling across the room, "Tall Stanley!"
Mine was just seeing him and going, "I know that guy." That's all I did. So
we're going to bring you a great conversation with Todd here in a little bit. But first off, let's get to some news. What else we got, kind of stuff, and see how it's going this week.
Let me go first.
Excellent.
I want to give the shout-outs of the week for the people who've shared our show. Let me click that little button there because it went back to where it was. Damn it. Okay, we've got I Love It Loudcast, which is our friend Peter Cecere. I think it's Cecere. Is that how it's pronounced? Good.
I think so.
Good, because I don't want to get that wrong. If I did get that wrong, Peter, send your hate mail to Dennis at agesofrock.com.
Absolutely.
Also, thanks to David Cathy, Stephen Bryant, Myles Standish, and Hairnet Radio. Bo, you rock, brother.
There you go.
And it's been a crazy week for me, so that's all I've got for shout-outs and pre-show stuff.
I don't know that I have a whole lot, to be honest with you. No, I don't think I have much. Oh, all right. I went to, wait a minute. So I posted a video on my personal Facebook page. I don't know if you guys watched it or not, but it was,
I did.
It was, if you get a chance, I guess I need to post it on the Ages of Rock podcast because it is definitely rock related, but there's a restaurant up here in Indianapolis that I go to called Kuma's Corner, and it's definitely a rock bar. All they play is Sabbath, Metallica, Slayer, Crew.
That's where we went.
Yeah, that's where we went.
Expo.
Right.
We went
for the
up
expo.
there. You took us there.
Yeah. So
Good
when you get mac and cheese there, you have special instructions. So, and part of it is listening to Sabbath. So
that's all that.
You have to watch. I'll post the video. You have to watch it because Lisa came in. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I was in there cooking and listening to some Paranoid. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's all you got?
That's it. I don't really.
No concerts. Well, yeah, you're done for the year. That's right. I forgot.
No, tomorrow night apparently.
What's tomorrow? Oh, well, yeah. So anyway, I'm going to bring that up actually because we are recording this on the 17th. This will be going actually live on the 20th. We are actually all three of us, including Brian, who is a listener to our show, and I just actually had Brian Harris. We just had Mexican food the other night, actually some chips and dip and a couple beers. And I had a conversation with him, and I'm like going, dude, come on with us. Let's go. So the four of us are going to jump on my Camry tomorrow night. Not Bill. Actually, my buddy Rodney is going to be the fourth guy. So Rod's coming also. But we're going to be going to Nashville to the Mercy Lounge to see the last show of the residency. I guess it's the last show. I don't know if it's ever going to be, not the last show forever, but it'll be the last show for a while. The Rock and Roll Residency?
Yeah, the Rock and Roll Residency. Right. But we don't expect you to get it right.
Yeah.
It's always like half right.
But I did. I got it right without nobody correcting me. How's that?
You were getting ready to get corrected.
I saw Alan looking for a mute button. He was trying to get out of it. But anyway, we're going to be going down there and seeing a lot of our old buddies, and I'm looking forward to it. Actually, Chris and Aaron is going to be down there, and we're going to say hey to those guys. A lot of our people that we've had on the show, everybody from the Gene Simmons, now the Ace Frehley band, are going to be there. A bunch of those guys. Speaking of which, Christopher Williams, or hopefully, is going to be there. This is something I was going to bring up last week. I ended up buying the Symphonic Terror DVD CD set, which this is probably it's probably one of the best CD DVDs. Does that kind of look like something that you've seen before? Kind of a live, it looks like a live kind of gatefold. But anyway, it's really good. They've got.
If you're gonna steal a diamond. Don't steal a turd.
Yes, exactly right. But as far as the Blu-ray, it's got part one's basically except doing their basically there's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs. Then they take a break and they come out with a symphony. Now, what's really cool with the symphony is they change to players. They have a different bass player, and also on guitar is Phil Schaus. Phil Schaus plays guitar during that set. That is the classical rock set, or classical music set to rock music. So Phil's playing guitar on that, and then they came back. They come back out with the symphony, and then they play the rest of the Accept songs with the symphony with Accept. So Phil's out there for let me look real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs. But the odd thing is, and I really hate this for him because it's one of those things where it's like when you go, damn it. They actually here where it is. They go through the booklet that comes in really good, and it shows all the people in the symphony. The bass player and Phil Schaus, they got their names backwards.
No. Damn it.
But in the listing it says, Phil Schaus guitar, but in here over his picture it has Phil Schaus over the bass player's name and everything. So, fuck the printers. The motherfuckers never can get shit right anyway.
Nobody proofed it probably.
Well, somebody didn't proof it. That's the whole point. Anyway.
Oh well.
But anyway, Phil. But one of our buddies he played, and this was. I mean, this is that Vulcan or Wacken, whichever one you'll say. This was recorded live in 2017. It is the DVD. It's a Blu-ray, and it sounds fucking kick-ass. I played on this TV with a my reference speakers and the subwoofer going on, and it kicks butt. So
can you connect that DVD player to your amp over there?
I'm sure I could. Which one?
That would be awesome.
Amp, though. There's like
it probably wouldn't. It probably would not be as awesome as you think.
No, it actually. I got a set of I actually have a set of Paradigm reference speakers that are. I won't even tell you what they cost. And then I've got a Paradigm subwoofer running through a Yamaha system. It's probably one of the top of the line stereo systems out there now. So it does sound better on that than it does in my amp.
Okay, so. I just was asking a question.
But anyway, it's a great DVD CD. I got it off Amazon actually for I think it was around $30. But it's also through Nuclear Blast Records. You can go online and get it through there. But it's awesome.
And that's Nuclear Blast for us non-George Bush fans.
What did I say?
I said nuclear.
Nuclear.
I'm going to stick with the nuclear then.
Nuclear. Anyway, that's all. Oh, and actually, we went to see I went to see a concert the night before, 2 nights ago. When was it?
It was the other day.
It was the other day.
Anyway,
the
we
details
went
are amazing.
We went to see a band that is from IU, originally from IU, Straight No Chaser. They are an a cappella group that's been around they got actually famous off YouTube and actually was signed from their video off YouTube, were signed by a group. So they're one of these people that say, hey, take as many YouTube videos as you want, take as many of this, post this, because that's how they got there. And I'll tell you what, I was sitting in the nosebleed, third row or third section of that thing, and you've seen the pictures that I posted on the page. I almost got altitude sickness at one point. And And those tickets were $50 a piece. And these guys have no instruments, no nothing. They just come in and sing a cappella. And they sell out everywhere they go.
Do you think they were using backing tracks?
Nope. You know what? I thought that at one point.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
But you know what? Because they are so good. I mean, I'm telling you, they actually did Working for the Weekend, Lover Boy, and it sounded so fucking cool. I was like, going, that's cool. They did Toto's. They did Africa.
So it wasn't just Christmas. It wasn't Christmas music.
They do half and half. They do an intermission.
Oh, that's cool.
And they did the Christmas music, and their Christmas music is really good. Then they had
you to say,
yeah, it is Christmas music. There you go. They do a great the funk song. What's that? Uptown Funk, and they do Thriller. They kind of mix that up. That's really good. They actually do a version of Creep last year that was really good, and they didn't do it this year. I was hoping that they would play it, but it's really good. But the fast way, or not fast way, but the I said fast way, didn't I? The Loverboy song was really good. I liked it a lot. So it was good.
It's always going to be just close.
It's funny. There's just too much shit going on.
It's just funny. So, you guys ready to go?
Shit. We got something going on.
That's right. We got something going on. You guys ready to get to it?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Todd Kerns, man, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Really great. I'm enjoying my what I think is like my second day off since I don't even know when. Actually, it's been going hard since the Slash tour. We went around America a couple times, and then I went to, and I'm losing track of all this. I had to go to Vancouver. They were nice enough to give me a star on the Walk of Fame up there, and then went to the KISS Cruise, and then I went to Canada for the Canadian tribute band that I have with Brent Fitz from the Bruce Kulick band and Slash, and then I came back here, and now finally I'm like, whew.
Are you exhausted or missing it?
I always kind of miss it. It's the funniest thing, isn't it? It's kind of like it's that weird. I remember Lenny Kravitz saying it once, saying how when you're on the road you miss home, and when you're at home you miss the road. I always love coming home because I'm very aware that it's brief enough that I have to make the best of it, and then I'll be sucked out into space quickly enough. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Yeah. We had Brent on a couple of weeks ago, or last week. Was it last week? Might have been last week.
It was a couple of weeks ago. We had Ryan on last week.
Yeah. Cool guy. We've talked to him before. We met you guys at the Indie Expo, so a lot of fun up there. It was great. That was crazy.
Yeah, we had a blast. That was the first time I got to play with Ace, which was very exciting.
It was cool. Very cool. So how was it playing with them this time? My fault.
Bill's got his dumb today.
I have a note right here that says playing with Bruce. I just didn't read the note.
That's all right. That's all right. You know, it's funny because I just saw a picture of us playing together in 2010. When he put out BK3, we did a release show at the Cat House on the Sunset Strip, and it was myself and Brent Fitz in the same positions. I was playing rhythm guitar and singing, and we had a guy named Adam Curry who plays in Candlebox, still currently in Candlebox after all these years. He played bass and sang a couple songs, you know. But it's funny to kind of maintain this relationship with Bruce all these years, and then for it to kind of come full circle to, hey, you know, initially it was Bob and Bruce, and we're going to go do the cruise, and do you guys want to come play? And we were they always looked to us because we're kind of like invested as fans and invested as musicians, and you know, we kind of know the stuff and know our stuff, so we're kind of good to go.
Cool.
Exactly. I was just looking at your page here just today, and you had posted a video from the KISS Cruise. It was it Crazy Nights?
Yeah, the medley. Yeah,
medley. I tell you what, that thing it's sounds so good. And then what's really funny is, everybody, we all know you as Tall Stanley. And 'cause that's the name that we're, because like I said, you could still, and you sing all those songs just like Paul did back in those days. And you're the one guy who could still hit those notes. But watching that video, the bass player, you say his name was who now? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Zach Throne. Zach Throne's an old friend of mine, too. It's funny, I have such weird relationships with all these guys because I've known Brent for 1,000 years because we're both Canadian. And I met Zach in about 91 or 92 in Vancouver, Canada. He was recording in a studio, the same studio that Motley Crue and Metallica and all these bands would record at. He was recording there. We crossed paths, and we just sort of kept in touch over the years. And then in a bizarre, the way life kind of goes around, he sort of in Las Vegas, and that's where we are. And so his name is Zachary Throne.
Okay.
He's immensely talented.
Because what was funny was, originally when we saw the video of you guys playing the Carnival songs, and I was like going, oh my gosh, he's hitting the Gene there. And then you posted this video then of the Crazy Night stuff, and he sounds just like Gene in the 80s too, because Gene has two different, variations. He has that growl, and then he has his high note, and he was nailing that too. I'm like going, son of a bitch. That is so good.
In a funny way, I think we're both capable of doing, it's not like an impersonation. And I always sort of said to Zach, even Bruce was sort of like, look, don't do impersonations of. Sure. And I don't think I'm very capable of actually doing a very impressive Paul Stanley impersonation as far as like his cadence and his, all the sort of intimacies of what a voice really is. But it's sort of like hit the notes, sing the words, and just do the song. And it's challenging, I mean, Paul was very sort of kind to me about it, but I didn't really have the time to say to him, you have no idea how challenging it is to have to sing this. It's like, at that time, Paul was, in my opinion, untouchable. I mean, he really was at the peak of his ability, as a front man and as a performer, let alone the fact that his voice around Crazy Nights and everything around that era, he's just hitting it out of the park every time. It's like that Raise Hell to Hold You is insane. Like, and when Bruce brought it up, I was like, of course I know that song. Of course, it's, I love that song. And then when we sat down to do it, I was like, oh boy, better get some extra tight pants for that one.
Well, the whole thing, and too, like I said, I wasn't saying that you were actually, mimicking or whatever, but you're in that range, and that's the whole point. It's just to get to that range. I mean, you're not Craig Gash. You're not trying to be an imitation of the person, which he does a great imitation. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. But the whole point is, you guys are in that range, and you do your own thing, but you're hitting. There's a lot of people nowadays that can't hit that. I mean, it's just a fact of nature.
Damn talented, frankly.
It is.
It's just, it really is, it's not meant for anybody who's going to be smoking and drinking and staying up all night. That's for sure. So guys like us who are kind of like, we really, I mean, take pride and care in playing this music, because I don't want to get on stage playing these songs that I love and that I grew up with and half-ass them. You know what I mean? Like, I would never want to do that. To me, it's like, we're going to do them as best we can. Whether it's 100% or not, we're going to shoot for 100% every time. So we really, honestly, we just didn't have the time because of scheduling, to really get down and let's rehearse for 2 weeks straight, and then go do the cruise. It was more like a handful of rehearsals just to kind of feel it out. And the funny thing is, we would rehearse, then we would go away and play. We'd go off and do a Slash tour for a month, come back and do a couple more rehearsals, and then go to the cruise. So, we do the best we can, and I think that everybody involved is a pro and reliable on they're going to show up. And nobody wants to be the guy that shows up at rehearsal or shows up on stage and doesn't know his stuff, because it's like, that's the guy.
Next, you're the weak link. You're the weakest link. You're out of here.
That's the guy you don't want to be. Todd, where did you get your musical influence? Where did you start? What was your beginning?
Well, it's funny, I was just laughing today because I'm like, I'm closing in on like 50,000 people on Instagram, and I was just laughing to my wife how I said I grew up in a town of like 1,500 people, so it's really hard for me to wrap my head around, what all that actually means. Even on the KISS Cruise, it's like I don't know how many people are on that thing, but it's way more than the town I grew up in. So it's I grew up in a little town in Canada in the middle of the freezing cold, and I think like everybody, it's not like no matter how far removed you are, rock and roll reaches you. You know what I mean? And I think, the Beatles, obviously, Elvis, most of this stuff trickles down from your parents, and, Rolling Stones and The Who and those kind of things trickled in. Of course, like everybody, like when I found KISS, it was sort of like, I want to do that, But I think that, to be honest, as a kid, I don't think that even looking at KISS was sort of it just didn't seem like, that's something that I can do, like a career option, like to be able to breathe fire and fly and all that. As a kid, it's sort of more like the same could be said about the Beatles and Elvis. They were all sort of like deities on high that we just didn't, couldn't wrap our head around until things like The Who kind of introduced me to punk rock, and sort of like we could pick up a guitar and play 3 chords and suddenly we could, be a band, you know what I mean? And that sort of really kind of spun us in that direction of, but I think bands like KISS and the Ramones and Alice Cooper and MC5 and all these sort of like very heavy, they're not heavy metal by any stretch of imagination, but that sort of like loud rock and roll that sounds really good in your garage with out-of-tune guitars. And at least to you, it sounds good. It probably sounds horrible to the neighbors. And then that's basically what it came down to. I was playing shows. I was just saying the other day how December 12th, I played my first, concert at the town hall when I was 14, 15. I don't even remember what year it is. So that's a long, long time ago. And ever since then, I've been playing. It's just been like it's sort of spun into a constant, always on stage in some fashion or another. Sometimes I'm playing bass, sometimes I'm playing guitar, sometimes I'm the singer. But always doing something.
That's one thing I noticed in that video. Like I said, when you're on playing with Bruce and them, you're playing guitar, and of course, then with Slash, you're playing bass. What is your favorite? I mean, do you have a favorite thing you like to play, or you just kind of?
Well, yeah, it's funny. People always ask me that, and I always say, it's kind of like when I came to Vegas. Like prior to being in Vegas, I had my own career as a solo artist, and I was in bands and stuff like that, and I was always a guitar player, lead singer type. Right. But I started in bands playing bass. Like I picked up a bass, and I was always very comfortable in that McCartney, Gene Simmons, always with a guitar pick. That kind of like that kind of bass player.
Right.
And that was a punk rock thing as well. We all sort of like just loved that kind of thing. But I think when I started to kind of get into writing my own songs and whatnot, the guitar sort of found itself to be the most natural place for me the most natural instrument for me to be playing. And I was never even though I can play lead guitar, I play, slow hand kind of, those, I love those.
Guilty as charged.
Which is my favorite kind of guitar playing. It's like, well, actually, my favorite kind of guitar playing is watching guys shred on country music because I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm like, what is that guy doing? But my kind of lead guitar playing was always those sort of, I just like the kind of soulful feeling kind of songs. I was never really interested in being a shredder, so I found myself always being designated to the Keith Richards, Paul Stanley, Malcolm Young school of rhythm guitar playing, which I think is a very underrated important position, and some people don't put enough time into being reliable in that position. Because I think a lot of guitar players are frustrated. Rhythm guitar players are sort of more a frustrated lead player who's kind of being forced to kind of you play this, simplified kind of version of what you would like to play. Where for me, it's like I love playing down on that. All my guitars, the first 5-7 frets are all worn out and it's brand new all the way up.
Yeah. And that's kind of the way with me, too. It's like, people always, want to be, lead players, and I was always a rhythm player. But, even Paul made a comment one time. He said, you have to be a really good rhythm player to be a lead player. Absolutely. I know some guys who can shred who can't play rhythm worth a shit,
I agree.
So you can't jam along with anybody. So that's the whole point is, be a solid rhythm player first and then be a lead player.
That's part of the same
I'm halfway there.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the same conversation with playing bass too, because I know a lot of guitar players who pick up a bass and it never quite feels right because it's, because they think like a guitar player. And for me, it's when I first came to Vegas, I just sort of made
a lot of hands today.
Like there's guys like McCartney is a really great guitar player. And to be honest, I always sort of looked at that as, when the Beatles were the Beatles, when they first started out, they had a bass player. Paul was a guitar player, you know what I mean? And then the bass player quits or gets whatever the situation was. And it was John going to play bass? I don't think he was the right guy. I think George was too much of a lead guitar player. So you go, if McCartney had not picked up the bass, he created a whole thing by him playing the bass. And I think that style went on, because Gene will 100% admit that he is a McCartney style bass player. And I've always said that, is walking lines and stuff like that. Simmons is one of the most underrated bass players. I think it's a crime, frankly. Gene doesn't care, but I'm always like playing parts. We were in the studio doing the Slash record, and even on the first single, it's called it's escaping me at the moment. Driving Rain. There's a walking part that I do, and the producer always would look at me and go, he would just say like Gene Simmons, and I go, absolutely. Even though walking part is a very common part of playing bass, but it just had that Gene vibe to it. For me, it felt pretty natural to go back and forth. At least I like to think it is. I mean, someone else might have another opinion on that, but I like playing rhythm guitar. I like singing, and when the bass position comes up, I'm happy to step in.
I think both of them. I mean, you can be your best at both worlds, and like I said, I think one helps the other person. You learn more each direct. I've done the same thing. I'm a bass player and a guitar player, mostly guitar player, but I've took bass up and I enjoy playing it. And like I said, it's a whole new world, and it actually helps you in rhythm playing once you learn some of the bass lines. So
absolutely,
I think it helps out.
That's what I say when I went to Vegas. By the time I got to Vegas. And we just start, what the coolest thing about Vegas is it's a very musical town. There's a million different venues in a million different casinos. Each casino has multiple venues in the casino. So there's bands playing all the time. There's jam nights. There's all kinds of things. And depending on the night, it's kind of like, I play bass, I play guitar, I sing. And, it was great. It was like kind of when I became, I think I'm a musician. I think I should be able to take that as my title. And whatever you need, I will do that night. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it became kind of a very liberating kind of time for me. And it really opened up all kinds of opportunities with Slash and now Bruce and whatever else could come down the pipeline.
How'd you get hooked up with Slash?
That's what I was going to ask.
Oh, sorry.
I know that's always an interesting one, because the same thing through Brent Fitz. Brent Fitz's connection to Bruce is also the similar connection. I mean, you'd be surprised how much Brent Fitz is a connection for a lot of musicians who probably don't really give him enough credit. He connects so many people to different gigs, it's not even funny. But Brent has always been incredibly good to me, and has always been a big supporter of mine all the way down the line. Like long before we ever played together, he was always really, really good to me that way. So when I found myself in Vegas, and he just sent me a text one day saying, the new drummer for Slash is from Winnipeg, meaning he's playing drums for Slash. And I go, no way, that's awesome. I was like, that's great. I didn't think anything of it for myself. I just thought that's incredible. Good for you, But I mean, Brent's played with Alice Cooper and Vince Neil. He's played with a million different people, and Union, obviously, and all these bands. So him landing in Slash's band was kind of like, of course you landed in Slash's band. Then about a week or two later, he sort of, hey, come down and jam. That's the way it was put to me. It was never like, we're looking for a bass player. It was just sort of like, come down and jam. And like KISS, Appetite for Destruction is another one of those things in the catalog up here that's just sort of always there. You know what I mean? Right. So I didn't even go over anything. I literally jumped in my car and just drove over and jammed a few songs. I remember what we jammed. We jammed Night Train and a couple other things. And the next thing I knew, it was like, hey, we're playing Leno next week. And I was like, whoa, I got a lot of things on my plate. I was like, it was really bizarre because I was a busy guy at the time. But that was almost 9 years ago.
Wow.
As crazy as that is to think about, yeah.
So what you're saying is Brent Fitz is the Kevin Bacon of the music world.
Yes, absolutely. Especially with the angry dancing in the middle of Footloose.
I tell you one thing. One thing I do like though is the way that you and Myles sing together. I think your voices fit very well together. I watched the Jimmy Kimmel thing here a while back when you guys did that, and just seeing you guys singing together, you both. I mean, Myles has a great voice, and so do you. You know, with you guys singing together, is fucking awesome. I mean, I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a real pleasure singing with a guy like that. Honestly, when I came in, it was sort of like like I've said it a million times. I didn't know if we were going to like be doing like a few months of, or even a couple of weeks of flyouts to casinos playing. You know what I mean? Like just kind of go out on weekends, play some shows, and then be like high five, good games, see you later, and then that'd be the end of it. But that was, like I said, it's eight almost 9 years ago. So at the time, it was just sort of like, yeah, that'd be great. Do Leno, do George Lopez had a show at the time. Craig Ferguson was doing the Late Late Show, and all that stuff, and go out and do. I'd never really been to Australia or Japan, and so all that kind of stuff was really cool to do. But I didn't know that it would carry on or what it would connect to. But so that all that kind of stuff, became part of the thing of like, well, I can sing all these harmonies on these songs that that people are doing, and Myles and I sort of found ourselves in a comfortable position of being able to support my supporting him mostly, And then when we recorded Apocalyptic Love in 2012, it just became really natural to be like, Myles is kind of like, well, just let Todd sing that, or have Todd sing this and Todd sing. And then World on Fire became a little bit even more. I was doing kind of portions of songs, and we always kind of liken it to like David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes from the Mach 3 Deep Purple thing.
Sure.
So, it's been a real pleasure. I mean, I really, there's elements about, as a singer myself and a songwriter, it's sort of like there's things about the Slash band that I don't really do, but it's been nothing but a pleasure because I love all those guys, and Myles is an absolute pleasure to sing with, and he really, he's just a mega talent.
Right. Well, the good thing is they realize that you have. I mean, that there is two powerful singers in that band, and they let you guys do what you want to do, and like not just say, hey, okay, one guy's going to be singing. You're both getting opportunities and singing together and all that stuff. And I think it's great.
It's kind of become a bit of the sound of the band in a funny way. As much as there's always going to be that Slash playing guitar is a sound unto itself. Like everybody knows that sound.
Sure.
But the band itself and Myles Kennedy's voice is such a familiar thing to anybody who loves Alter Bridge and even his solo stuff now. And I think for whatever reason, the harmonies and all that kind of stuff has really kind of found its own way to become a bit of a signature.
Oh, it is. I mean, it is. Yeah, it's a big part of it.
It's definitely cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
So when you were prepping for the Bruce Kulick gig, was there anything that you guys that you wanted to do that you didn't get to do, or was there something that you're like, I'm so glad we did that, or was it,
Well, it's funny because, we only kind of scratched the surface in a funny way. Like we started talking about really crazy stuff. Like, I mean, it was very specific to be like, when we did the Bob and Bruce thing, that was cool because we got to do Killers, we got to do some side 4 of the Live 2. All the Bob stuff, So when it became just Bruce, it became like, okay, well now we're basically focusing on mostly Asylum up to Carnival, and a little bit of Creatures and Animalize. And did we get into anything on Look It Up? I don't think so. I mean, there was a lot of talk about a lot of, especially when I think of Bruce, the first time I ever saw KISS was because I lived in a small town in the middle of nowhere. When March 7th, 1985, KISS came to Regina, Saskatchewan, and Bruce Kulick was the guitar player on the Animalize tour. So it was the first time me and a bunch of my friends finally got to see KISS. They were finally in our backyard, So we came out and, that was a life-changing experience. And so in seeing that, the Animalize Uncensored Live became the handbook of that time of seeing KISS live. And so I connect all those songs to Bruce as much as everything that kind of followed. So basically, a lot of the songs from Lick It Up and Animalize at that time, to me, Under the Gun is as much a Bruce Kulick song to me as anything off of Revenge. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of talk back and forth about a lot of songs where we were like, and those medleys were so fun. Initially, they were met with a bit of like confusion. Like I remember Brent Fitz being kind of like, "Whoa, wait, what?" He kind of pushed to do full versions of Sword and Stone, which we kind of attached to the Crazy Nights thing.
Right.
Was going to be just a portion of it, and he was like, "Dude, if we're going to go there, let's just do the whole song because it's such a, to the initiated KISS fan, that song is like not only are you hearing, a rare cut, you're actually hearing an unreleased cut, So, and then we did the same thing with Little Caesar later on in the Hot in the Shade, smashes, thrashes, and hits kind of thing that we put together. But I think that there was, that's the cool thing about the cruise is that you really can't dig deep enough. We've learned that, time and again that, if you think you can get too deep, there's no such thing. Even when we started we did the Bob and Bruce show, I was like, well, we'll see. I mean, there's a few of these that are pretty, we're kind of asking a lot of the audience to kind of, but it didn't matter. Like they knew every single word to every single song. And I think when we started talking about things like Carnival, which is unfortunately such a lost gem in and of itself. Maybe the only one that sort of is equivalent to that would be, say, like The Elder, as far as like the sort of underappreciated KISS record, both of which are some of my favorite moments. But man, the response from the audience was just like next level. Like every time we did a medley of it, so I think that we started with Hate. Then we went into, I think, Rain. I can't remember exactly how it all went, but and it was just like every time we went into a new song, it was just the response was just like, what? Like, they couldn't believe it was happening. And I think it was a real revelation for Bruce, and I hope to the guys. I'm assuming that I think Gene and Paul are very aware that they've got such a history behind them that their audience is really invested. And I knew I was invested as a fan because I'm one of those guys that never stepped out. Like a lot of my friends were the guys who were there and they stepped out for a phase and then they came back. But I was there, dude. I went all the way through. Like I was like, the only record I didn't buy the day it came out was Hot in the Shade because I was on the road and it just kind of, I had to go get it like within the first week. But I was always that guy. Like it was written law that
I bought the records, not that I liked them all. I did buy them all. I did buy them all.
I'm not the kind of guy who's going to just say, no, every single song on every single record was perfect. No, I'm not that guy at all. In reality, the best thing about being a KISS fan is it's the same as being, I don't know, a Star Wars fan or a Star Trek fan or a comic book fan. You can have eras of things that clearly are gold, and then other eras that aren't quite as your thing, but you can still find pleasure within that. So I mean, so to me, it's kind of like some of the '80s stuff, as challenging as it is, and challenging for Bruce. When we first brought up like, let's open with King of the Mountain, everybody kind of went like, oh boy, that's kind of like that's a 6th Degree Black Belt song right there off the top of the set, like. That whole guitar solo thing, and Bruce was just like, "Well, okay." We just kind of figured if we're going to do this, it's like go big or go home. There's no sense kind of coming in and doing it like just some sort of like, like here's Lick It Up and here's Cold Gin and here's, I mean, you're going to hear that stuff during the night anyway.
Oh, when you guys come out with that song, it rocked balls, and this set everybody on their ear at that point. They were like going, now what are we going to get? I mean, when you started at that point, now your ending point's got to be out, which was, you did it. I mean, that whole set was really great. I mean, it fucking, like I said, for us who weren't on the cruise, loved the videos that came from the cruise because we all were sitting there going, holy shit, this is good.
Well, we'd already done it once, so to us, it was kind of like after doing it with on the first year in 2017, it was kind of funny to us because, the cool thing about the KISS crowd that I did is that in the Guns N' Roses world, everybody knows who Brent Fitz and Todd Kerns are. They know who Brent Fitz is in the KISS world because of Union. There's that connection. But when I came on the boat, there was a lot of like, we played that first night with Bob and Bruce. The next day, people were like, "Look, dude, I don't know who you are, but that was." and I loved it because it's like there was no sort of preconceived idea of like, "Oh, it's those guys from this thing," you know. It's like this kind of supergroup idea. In reality, they know who Bruce is, they know who Bob is, they kind of know who Fitz is because of Union, and then I don't know who this guy is, you know. And that meant a lot to me. It doesn't matter that I'm not going in there with a sort of preconceived, you know, like you can kind of get a thumbs up just by sort of being, oh, that's that guy from that thing, you know. It was sort of like I kind of had to prove myself. And then, but on the boat, we had nothing but love, you know. We had no idea what was going to happen in the rest of the world, because on the boat there's usually no Wi-Fi, so these videos don't go out until we dock, you know, somewhere. Until we go home, we finally see this response, you know. And the response was overwhelming, that people were like blown away. And the same thing happened on this one. I remember saying to Zach Throne, our bass player, I remember saying to him, I go, well, the crazy thing is by the next day, I just knew it was going to do well because I'd seen it the year before. That I knew that we were playing King of the Mountain and Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, and Hot in the Shade, and just digging into things that hadn't been played or hadn't been played in years, or just basically had never been played. That I knew that the audience would love it. I mean, I think that as a fan, I would have been standing there going like, I can't believe these guys are doing this stuff, And so when we landed, I said when we got home, I just knew everybody was going to be like thrilled, because as long as we did it well, I mean, like it's one thing to kind of go and do a really cool set list, but not do it very well. But I think that we had to kind of do it as to the peak of our ability, and I think we sort of showed up knowing that we were going to, try and just kill it. I mean, I think we got as close to that as we could.
Well, I think you set the bar last year and raised it again this year.
Yeah,
so
now
next
it's
year is
like right here.
Next
it's like
year,
way above here.
The thing about it, I think is cool about that is, especially Bruce and Bob both, they played stuff that's what we want to hear. If I'm going to pay money to go on that cruise, I want to hear that stuff. I do not care to hear Shout Out Loud. I don't care to hear. I can hear that stuff. I've been hearing that stuff for years. I want to hear that stuff that I've just been longing for. That's the thing. And I'm telling you, when I was watching downloaded those videos
for the first time, I mean,
those first notes from that Carnival. Oh my God! I thought about went out of my mind. Like I was like,
well, me too. It's like it's getting to play it. But first of all, I'm a KISS fan, and I've been playing Rock and Roll All Night and Shout It Out Loud and Cold Gin and all the hits that we consider like the sort of more the standards. I've been playing those since I was a kid.
And I love those too.
Yeah, Detroit, all that stuff. I play that stuff all day long. Right now, let's plug in. I'll play that right now. But it's getting to do those songs was like a real blessing and a real and being able to share it with that audience. Because the cool thing about the KISS Kruise, the cool thing about the playing in front of that audience is that you're on that KISS Kruise. It's like it's Americans, it's Canadians, it's South Americans, it's Europeans, it's Japanese, it's Australians. It's like the whole damn world is represented on that boat, and you realize that it's not just kind of like, oh, the Carnival of Soul stuff is really works to these people and this works to those people. Revenge is good with this. It's like, no, all the KISS fans want to hear basically as deep as you can dig, and like you said, raising the bar this year, next year, and not only us raising the bar, but the cruise rose the bar by having Ace there and Bruce there. And then having Ace and Bruce together on the Sail Away set, basically doing the Unplugged again, was awesome to see as a fan, and really amazing to see as Bruce's friend, because it's the first time Bruce has been on stage with those guys in years, And then I don't know. I really don't know what they're going to do to raise the bar as far as the cruise goes. For us, it might be a case of like, I guess we just try and play some more deep cuts. I mean, even more. I don't know. There really is. I mean, it really is such a wealth of music that that we could probably. Trust me, I've been threatening. I said to Bruce, we should do KISS Alive 3 in its entirety. We should do, Animalized and Censored in its entirety, or basically
and
something
you
like
have
that.
to do all of the stage raps.
Yeah.
And if you don't do them, I know the words to all of those stage raps, so I'll do that part for you.
You come out in between songs, it's gonna be perfect. Yeah. The
People!
Christmas tree.
It'll have a much better effect, Todd, if you just move your mouth and he stands on the side of the stage.
But the whole point is, everybody that's on this cruise are, they are deep fans. They've been there. They've been fans forever. So you're never going to go too deep on everybody that goes on that cruise. I mean, I don't care what. I know Paul has this theory about the people in the regular tours and everything, but the ones that are on that boat, man, you can't get too deep. I mean,
well, I wouldn't disagree with him as far as the regular show goes, because I know what it's like to play your regular show, and people, there's a percentage of us guys who are there going like, play the oath,
right,
stuff like that. And then there's a larger percentage. I mean, I don't know what the percentage actually is, but there is a giant chunk of people there who are like, they've dipped their toe in the pool, or perhaps it's their first KISS concert ever, and and they've got to play Rock and Roll Night. They've got to play Shout It Out Loud. They've got to play those songs. So, and that's the cool thing about the cruise, is that even the band usually digs deep, even though they treated the cruise this year as sort of a warm-up end of the road, which I totally understood, and I totally expected them to be kind of like, look, it's early days and we're getting ready for the end of the road. So they treated it as that. New costumes, I understood the whole thing. So basically having Ace there playing like Three Sides of the Coin and Torpedo Girl, and then us playing Carnival of Souls, and that sort of stuff, it really kind of took the pressure off the guys to be able to have us doing the deep cut stuff.
Sure. Next year we want you to do Stanley the Parrot and My Uncle the Raft.
I want to be the full, like, the Wicked Lester version with the flutes and everything. Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
So Todd, what do you got going on for over the holidays? Are you home for now for a while, or are you going to be back out before the holiday? Or are you down for a bit?
No, I played my band Original Sin, which is a spin-off of the band called the Sin City Sinners here in Vegas. Brent Muscat from Faster Pussycat and I put that together 2007. So we put out a couple records and we play, we just kind of do stuff whenever I'm around. Hey, let's play a show. Perfect. Boom. We go play a show. Last night I played a charity show. U.S. Marines put on a Toys for Tots show, and all these different acts from Vegas. We get up and I just sang a Queen song. And then there's a show in town called Raiding the Rock Vault that has Howard Leeds from Heart and Hugh McDonald from Bon Jovi and all these dudes from different, all these other acts. And I'm doing a couple of shows with those guys, just a little bit here and there over the Christmas holidays, and basically just around. I mean, I'm about to have a house full of Canadians in about 2 days.
So I've seen the Raiding the Rock Vault show. It's incredible. It was so much fun.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it's all the classics, and it's funny when we talk about it as KISS fans. That's a show. I talk about it as a rock fan, and I'm like, they're doing like Stairway to Heaven and Smoke on the Water, and there's a part of me that's kind of like, oh, really? You guys want to do like the super like standards kind of set? And I'm like, but it works every single night, And it's like, I've been playing those songs since junior high, It's like, okay, boom, let's play it, And it's a real blast, and those guys and all the guys in that act are so cool, and I really love them as a family, and then we have a blast every time I'm in town. I try and go and sit in with those guys. It's fun to come back to a place like Vegas because you got all these different people playing and different acts, and getting to reconnect and getting to play together is really fun. I'm not the kind of guy who spends a whole lot of time sitting around at home, but it's nice to be home and go play, and then come home and sleep in my bed and watch my TV, and then go play, with some friends again the next night,
Yeah, cool.
So is Slash going out quite a bit this year, or is Guns N' Roses going to be playing? How's that going to work?
No, I was just in Hawaii. My wife and I went to Hawaii for the first time. We did Kauai for about a week, and then we went and watched the final Guns N' Roses show in Honolulu.
Okay.
So that was the last show for. They might fire up at the end of 2019. I'm not sure, but we are out till at least August of 2018.
So we go out a full schedule then coming up this year. Good.
Really cool, actually. So we go out basically New Year's Eve. My wife and I are heading to LA, and then we're going to start rehearsals with with the guys and head out around the 5th. I think we head to Asia, New Zealand, Australia, Europe. All of that is immediate jet lag. Boom. It was just like
Right.
immediate. And then we have a little break, and then we come back and do South America, which is huge for us. And then we do a festival run in Europe again, which is amazing that they have a huge festival run in Europe. I really wish America and Canada had more of an affinity to that kind of thing. But in Europe, it's just that's what they do. Every summer they have like a let's just go sleep in a tent for 4 days and watch Netflix. I'm like, God, these people. You know, it's like if you like porta potties and listening to heavy metal, and come on out. You know? And then I think we got like another American Canadian run towards the end, and then that'll be that.
Because I want to catch you guys. I want to catch you guys at the end of this run because I want to see you guys play. Because I have not seen. I did see Guns N' Roses when they first started in Nashville.
Yeah.
And I do want to see though. I want to see you guys. I want to see Myles and you guys. I want to see all you guys because I think I like Slash stuff. I think
it's fun. Yeah,
it's fun stuff.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun doing it. It's like, you know, we really like each other, and it's fun to make records together. And it's funny because it's like it's weird because it's a band, but it's also like a project because it's like when we have time for everything else, we get together, make records, and then go do the thing, and then everybody goes off in other directions to do their other stuff, and then at some point we'll be like, hey man, what are you doing? And then we'll hopefully find ourselves in a room together making rackets. So who knows?
Yeah, well, it keeps it fresh too. I mean, it's one of those things where you can. You may have an idea of something that you're working on that doesn't fit the band you're into at that time or whatever the project that you're on, and you say, you know, this would be good for this project. So, you know,
I'm thankful for things like Bruce, you know, and stuff like that. It sort of scratches another itch that you don't even really think about.
Right.
It's kind of like you just kind of get to do, like, you know, that's one thing I'm playing bass and singing backups in. The other thing I'm singing lead and playing guitar in. It's always wearing a different hat, and I'm perfectly happy to be able to do. You know, I'm the kind of guy that's like I've always wanted to start a punk rock band and play drums. You know, I just go,
why not?
Because I'd be a terrible drummer, but I'd be like, but I think I'd splat.
Before we let you go, I got to ask you about Took.
Yes,
that is so. So we have a Canadian listener on the show, Kaylin, and she's a huge Todd Kerns fan.
I took a picture, a screenshot, and said, "Wait till Thursday." And she's like, "Oh my God, OMG!" She is so excited. She loves you.
She actually plays drums too, and
she does. Oh, you know her. Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she promotes you guys. Actually, you should probably hire her as a promoter because she would.
She gets all kind of gigs in Canada, man. She's like, for sure. But she kind of told us about it. We had her on the show one night. We were just chatting, and she was talking about Took, and I can't quit listening. I'm sorry.
You're pronouncing it correctly, which is actually awesome to hear. Usually people say toe.
No, I'm pretty sure I probably said it wrong, and she corrected me.
Because it's like I said, I used to work in Canada every once in a while, so you get your Took. But the whole point is, I love the fact that you peed your name on the album in the snow. That I'm like going, and the thing is, and like Bill said, I told Bill about it, and because we found it through her, and I can't stop listening to it. Anybody that does a cover from Chilliwack is cool with me. I'm like going, I can't believe they remade this, and everything you remade was so good. That album, I love it. It's one of those ones that when I'm in the garage messing around, I'll put it on just to listen to it because
it's funny because it basically came about because myself and Fitz and Corey Churko, who's the guitar player for Shania Twain, he's and then the drummer guy because Fitz, the drummer for Slash. And Bruce's band plays bass in Took, which is totally confusing, I know. So then a friend of ours plays drums, and all four of these guys are from Canada, all living in the U.S. for a long time, playing in gigs, So it's kind of like there's a universal language that happens when you grew up with a certain brand of music or certain genre of music that just doesn't exist down here because why would anybody know what the fact that you know what Chilliwack is or things like Loverboy or Trooper or Loverboy, April Wine, Rush, those kind of bands, they've all had some presence. Triumph, bands like that. But then we, and some of those bands that we've covered have had sort of mild hits. The Alda Nova song, Honeymoon Suite, bands like that. People are mildly aware of these and that. So, but some of the songs that we chose to cover on that record are songs that are very regional. It'd be kind of like, if you're from Buffalo and there was a cool band from Buffalo that never got signed, or that they made a record and made an impact in your hometown or something, but no one else knew them. It was that kind of vibe where we thought, this is important to us. And we just started kind of like, the idea kind of came up, like, wouldn't it be cool to like play these songs and just sort of like have somebody from South America or Japan say, I like this song. They'd be like, they never would have heard it had we not kind of done a version of it. So basically it was the same as saying like, I love KISS and Cheap Trick and the Ramones and the New York Dolls, and we would have done a whole album of covers by those bands. Just did a whole bunch of covers by bands we grew up with in Canada. And that's basically all it is. Sort of, and then it spun into like people suddenly wanted to book the band to play shows, and I was like, oh, now we have to rehearse and like do stuff. Okay, and that was a whole other thing to kind of go up and do like Canadian corporate gigs and different parties and stuff like that. But it's been a lot of fun. Again, it's sort of me playing guitar and singing in that, so it was another itch to scratch where I was playing bass and the other thing, and I would go and do this Canadian thing. It was really fun. So it started as fun, and it's mostly supposed to be fun. And we actually have an original song coming that we wrote a song for the next record. We're putting out a second one. We already released an Alanis Morissette song.
I saw that. That's good. Yeah. That's really good.
Another song we put out by a band called Prism from Vancouver that is a whole other thing. And so as we're slowly kind of like letting out songs and then figuring out when we actually want to drop the thing, we ended up writing a song and recorded it and made a video for it. So, it's as a musician, it's kind of good to just kind of keep doing stuff. I always sort of, the worst thing you could do is just kind of stop and, I don't know, rather than sort of like doing a Slash tour, and then for like a year and a half, I just sort of disappeared, sort of like sat at home or went up into the
sit around with a bunch of equipment in the background and not use it after playing in a band for 8 years. And now I'm not doing nothing. This is my first New Year's Eve with nothing going on. Oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. All my guitars are in the corner over here, but anyway, same thing. That's my amp corner.
My Stormtrooper pillow I have here.
There you
go. Well, kind of like we just have fun with that. Go ahead.
Tell everyone how to find you online.
It's Todd Dammit Kerns on Twitter, and it's Todd Kerns on basically everything else. Instagram, Facebook, that kind of stuff. I don't do Snapchat. I'm a grown-ass man. I don't know what half that stuff is. Or I just don't care what it is. I remember, like, every time a new medium comes up, I'm like, what is this now? I got to do this? I was like, but I really enjoy things like, I really actually quite enjoy the social media stuff, but I try to keep it to a minimum. I remember, like, it just gets too crazy. I find Instagram to be the most fun now because it's just the photo aspect. I mean, doing what you guys do, I think is really cool. And I always thought like getting a couple friends together and talking about KISS or movies that I like or whatever would be really fun. But I never seem to have time to do much of anything other than play music. So it's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem.
Yeah.
And you're playing good music, so that's good.
Oh, thank you.
Now you go by Todd Dammit Kerns on Twitter. How did we get the Dammit in there?
That's an old school. For anybody who grew up with any sort of punk rock bands like Johnny Rotten and Sid Vicious, it just seemed like all my friends had like some sort of like, your name's Bill, and then they added some sort of like Billy Pyro or some stupid like thing at the end. My name rhymed, Todd Dammit just rhymed with God damn it, basically. It became one of those things that later on when I got to Vegas, the coolest thing about coming to Vegas for me was the fact that in Canada, I was an established guy. People knew who I was. People knew my music. They knew what I did. And I come to the States, and it was kind of like I was just Todd, some guy who, some musician guy. And so friends were calling me Todd Dammit, and just that sort of became Todd Dammit, Todd Dammit, Todd Dammit. Vinnie Paul used to call me Todd Dammit. I don't think he even knew what the hell my I think he probably just thought that was my last name. And all those kind of guys, that became a thing, to the point that I had to kind of almost include it when I kind of went on Twitter. I was like, I'm that guy. I'm the same. Todd Dammit and Todd Kerns are the same guy. You know?
That's a good thing to have, though. Vinnie Paul would just be like looking at me going, "Hey, you." At least he knew your name, you know.
He just loved saying, "Todd, damn it!" He was like,
"That's funny."
He was a wonderful guy. We miss him a lot.
Yeah, he is. Miss a lot of people nowadays.
It's crazy. You know, we're just coming up on Lemmy's. Lemmy.
Oh yeah.
His birthday and his passing, and he's a big part of the Slash and the Conspirators story too. And he was always really good to us and really good to me. And you know, it's a funny thing, you know, and we can all attest to the fact that all of our heroes are getting older, and it's fascinating, you know, like to look at, you know, my friend the other day goes, look, Ringo Starr is like 78 years old, and he's got dates, like he's touring next year, and I go, damn, dude, it's like, that means like in 2 years, Ringo Starr is gonna be 80 years old, you know, you're like, that's crazy to me, you know, it's like, that's like getting into like, you know, B.B. King territory where like, you know, at what point are we not touring anymore? Like, at what point is Willie Nelson not going to be on the road anymore? You know, it's like, I don't think there's really an answer for that. I think guys are going to keep doing it until they just can't.
When Willie stops breathing, that'll be the time he'll probably stop, because he's had some health scares and he still continues on the road. You know, once he gets better, he gets back on there. You know, we were talking about it today. We sit there at work. You know, of course, you know, you pull up your social media, and today was the 35th anniversary of Holy Diver being released. And I looked at the guy and I go, 35 years ago? I remember buying that. I was like, God damn, we're getting old. You know, it's like.
That's crazy. You know, it's like, you know, I mean, like, I understand when Paul and Gene say, look, and, you know, being 70 years old and wearing the gear and running around, that's a different thing. I totally understand that. The fact that Mick and Keith are still up doing it in their, you know, late 70s is it's crazy. You know, it's like, but it's inspiring at the same time, because you know, I look around and I go, I guess I don't really have to stop. And, you know, when we were kids, we thought, like, as if funny to watch old Stones interviews, and they'll be like, oh, I think I'll do this for a couple of years, you know, get into banking at, you know, my 30s. You know, it's like they had no idea themselves that rock and roll was going to be a long-term thing.
Oh, and now, the Stones are into banking. They bankroll, they make serious bank.
One of the things is too, when we were kids, we thought a 50-year-old person was about ready to die anyway. I mean, it's like now I'm 53 now. I'm like going, I still feel like I'm 16. Well, I don't feel like I'm 16. No, I act like I'm 16, but I don't feel like it.
I feel like 17 and about 1,000 at the same time.
Yeah.
The other day, some young kid that we know was talking about. So, you know, the mom was giving the speech, the drinking and smoking speech about, like, you know, all your favorite rock stars don't drink and smoke anymore. Like, look at the Rolling Stones. And she goes, yeah, but those guys are like in their 50s or something. And I say, well, you think that's what 50 looks like? Good Lord. You know, like, those guys are older, like your great grandfather. That's how old those guys are. You know?
No, they drink and smoke up to their 50s, and then they quit. And then their 70s.
Yeah, Keith Richards just died 3 times and come back to life. I mean, it's just, come on.
Keith Richards dies. I'm gonna start looking at around, because something's gonna happen.
That'll be the end.
The fact that Keith has outlived Tom Petty and Prince and, you know,
I know,
people is a testament to, you know, as my friend said, he goes, I can't remember. He said, I don't know how old Jack LaLanne was when he died. You know, Jack LaLanne, the old workout.
Yeah, the workout guy.
He's waiting to see, like, if Keith outlives Jack LaLanne, he's going to use that as his argument for smoking and drinking all these years. And I go, hey, man, it might happen. It might happen. The fact that Lemmy lived to be 70 years old, living the way he wanted to live, I don't think it's a tragedy at all. You know, that he passed away at 70 years old. Man, that's a long run.
And Lemmy, that was a hard 70s, what that was.
Absolutely. And they were good 70 years. I think he fit a lot like 70 years. Not as much as Keith's fitting in. I mean, Keith's fitting like 4 or 5 lifetimes into one run.
Well, I have started this kind of see him before they die tour, because last year I didn't see Tom Petty. I kept thinking about, he's going to do another tour. I know this is his last tour, whatever. So this year when Ozzy tickets went on sale, I'd never seen Ozzy before. I just never hadn't really gotten a chance. I'm like, that dude is going to kick off sometime. Now, he's going to be another one of those guys going to live till he's 150. We get that, because he's done enough.
Yeah,
he's preserved himself enough with some shit that is going to be fine. But I went last year. I was amazed. I mean, it was impressive. It really was. I mean, he put on a phenomenal show. It was really good. He had that guitar player you might have heard of, that Zach guy. He's kind of good.
Yeah. Zach guy.
Zach Wild, yeah. Zach, yeah.
But it's true, you got to start seeing those guys, because if you don't, they'll be gone.
I know, and it's a missed opportunity, really. Trust me, I never saw Prince. It's a heartbreaker to me. Like the fact that he passed away. I honestly never saw Petty either. That was a real heartbreaker to me, because I always kind of felt like my biggest problem has always been that I'm always playing. I'm always on stage, and someone's rolling through town. I'm like, oh, what time are they on? I'm not going to see it. It took me forever to see people like Aerosmith and Alice Cooper, bands like people like that, because all the years they'd be around, I'd be playing. I couldn't. I wasn't the kind of guy. I was too busy doing my own thing to go off and see some of my favorite artists. Now of course I've seen them 1,000 times, but the same problem exists. I'm just always busy, and it's something. And usually I come home like this, and half the time it's like I've missed everything that's come through, or I'm leaving in 3 days to go to friggin' Mexico or somewhere else. It's like, so it just never works out. Good problem to have, again, being busy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Todd, thank you for not being enough, busy enough to talk to us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
That's awesome.
What else are you going to do on a Monday evening? Watch football or visit with your wife and family?
Be normal.
Be normal.
Running around preparing for our house to be invaded by Canadians, as I was mentioning. So we was getting prepared for all the family coming here, because all the Canadians come south. Because it's December there, and it's like, let's get the hell out of Dodge, They come here, and it's warmer, and you have to plug your car in at night, that kind of thing,
Exactly.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, thanks, Todd. We really appreciate you being on the show and spending some time with us. We've had a great time. You've been a great guest, and we really appreciate it. So, a lot of fun, man.
Hopefully, catch you this year on tour. I'm going to catch you at the end of the year when you guys get back to the States. So,
look us up. It'd be great, man. You'll have a blast.
All right.
We should go to Mexico.
There you go. Hey, hang around for a minute too.
My wife just walked in the room. She's looking at me.
Yeah, your wife's like, "Well, you're not going to Mexico."
She's like, "You're not going to Mexico."
Hang in here.
Todd Dammit Kerns said we should go to Mexico. She's like, "Whatever."
All right, Todd, hang on tight. I'm going to take us out of here, and then we want to talk to you for a minute afterwards.
You got it. Go for it.
All right, folks. Catch us on agesofrock.com. Find all of our social media and all of that fun stuff. Stitcher Radio. Till next week, peace out, folks. Thanks for listening to the Ages of Rock podcast. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and most importantly, tell all your friends. Remember, you're never too old to rock. Until the next episode, peace out, folks.